Hello viewers, Christian here from TopSpeed, and welcome to this little snippet of TopSpeed YouTube. And what we have here is a beautiful Jeep Wrangler Rubicon in obviously a 4-door long wheelbase configuration. But you see, although it may look like a normal Jeep Wrangler Rubicon in 4-door long wheelbase configuration, it is actually not a normal Jeep Wrangler Rubicon in 4-door configuration, as I shall now demonstrate. This is the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. If you're a Jeep fan, there's a chance you already know what this is, but if you aren't and you live under a rock, this is the first and only Wrangler to leave the factory with 8 cylinders. And not just any V8, but the 6.4 naturally aspirated HEMI from a Charger and Challenger SRT8. And boy, is it special. So yes, this is pretty much the ultimate Wrangler, the ultimate summation of basically what everything that Jeep has to offer for its famed off-roader. And the result? The Jeep Wrangler 392 Final Edition. And the reason why they call it the Final Edition is because, well, originally they were only going to make these for a specific year or two. So 2022 to 2023. And then they were going to make it, it was obviously limited production because, you know, not everyone can basically afford a V8 powered Jeep, especially for what they're charging for this guy. But there was so much backlash from the community and from prospective customers when Jeep announced that they were going to discontinue the 392 that I believe, and if my story is correct, they actually, like a whole bunch of Jeep owners pretty much filed a class action lawsuit against Stellantis. I'll have to double check this for you guys, or maybe you guys could do it searching on your Googles, to pretty much say, hey Jeep, you know, don't stop making this guy because people still want it. And there was so much backlash that Jeep actually backtracked on their decision to cancel the Wrangler 392 Final Edition and to make it for another year. And so this is pretty much what we ended up with. And I can see why. Oh, that sounds so good. So what this pretty much means is that Jeep took the 6.4 liter naturally aspirated HEMI V-8 from the Challenger and Charger SRT8 and the Scat Pack and just threw it in under the hood of the Wrangler. And the result is 470 horsepower and 470 foot-pounds of torque and an exhaust note that is just a million times better than the 3.6. Now I know it's really easy to say, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of power, you got extra cylinders, it's still a Jeep, but I gotta tell you, for driving this for the past few days, that the V8 makes a huge difference with the way the Wrangler drives. Yes, it's still a Wrangler, yes, it's still got its tough as nails body on frame platform, so its handling is a bit primitive, and it's getting a bit foggy. Whew. But the effortlessness of the engine just makes it so much more enjoyable to drive. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with the 3.6 in the standard Wrangler and even the Gladiator. It's been serving that truck extremely well for what it is, but in all honesty, it is a little bit wheezy in the lower end because it's a naturally aspirated motor. It's a very rev-happy motor. It's a very smooth operator, and in my honest opinion, I think it's one of the most underrated engines in Stellantis' portfolio. But you really gotta like work the engine to get anywhere. And like, say you're on the trails or something like that, and you know you need to really get into the engine's power band. I mean, you gotta really work the 3.6 liter up above it into its middle rev range so you could get that power. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's actually kind of quite fun because you get to work the motor, you get to hear it, and it's just fun to work the motor as you're off-roading and doing stuff. Much in the same way as, you know, driving a Miata and really revving it up to its red line as you know, power out of a corner and then you upshift, because that's fun, right? But this, you get all that low-end torque and all that grunt, and it even just makes like overtaking so much simpler and so much easier. You just ease into the throttle and the torque just goes, and it just takes you right off. Anytime you get on the power of this guy, it just lurches like a gazelle ready to run from a lion. and go at full speed. Except the Gazelle doesn't make the noise a 6.4 liter Hemi makes. It's like Otis Redding and Pavarotti come together and create this baritone noise. As you can imagine, fuel economy is not very good, as the computer indicates that we've been averaging 11.1 miles to the gallon. Think devours fuel. And I mean, when you have this kind of power under the hood, it's hard not to. So, being a Jeep Wrangler and being a Rubicon model, that means that this guy is fully kitted up the wazoo right out of the factory to pretty much take on the world. Or go anywhere where the road stops being paved. I mean, we got front and rear locking differentials, full-time four-wheel drive with 4 low. We got an off-road plus mode. We got electronically disconnectable sway bars. We have 35-inch mud tires, and we got these really, really rugged off-road shocks here equipped. So, doing a normal road test of the Wrangler 392 would probably not do it any justice. And so we've arranged a little bit of an outing out in the middle of coal country Pennsylvania to really see what this car can do. So clearly, this Jeep is all set up not just to put your neighbor's regular and humdrum Rubicon with its wheezy 3.6 Pentastar V6 in the dust, but to practically go anywhere. That said, doing a normal road test would simply fail to do the Wrangler 392 justice, which is why we're taking a little bit of an adventure to coal country in the middle of Pennsylvania, and to see if the Jeep thing is something I can learn to understand. This is Anthracite Off-Road Arena, also known as AOAA. Nestled in the hills of Coal Township, Pennsylvania, it was once home to one of the many hundreds of coal mines that helped power cities throughout North America, and even the world up through the Second World War. After the demand for cleaner and other kinds of energy left its nearly 8,000 acres worth of mining grounds abandoned and unused for almost a half a century, it was then reclaimed by the local municipality and converted into one giant all-terrain vehicle amusement park, all in an effort to breathe some life back into the region and local commerce. Thus, with its hundreds of miles of unpaved trails and countless obstacles, it's become one of the signature destinations for overlanders, nature lovers, and off-road enthusiasts, and home to one of the many events held by Jeep Jamboree, an organization entirely dedicated to indulging in the love and passion for one of America's most iconic automobiles, which obviously makes it the perfect place to test this outrageous Wrangler 392. But before diving into what AOA has to offer, I went around to learn about the grounds and see what sort of obstacles I was getting into.